Welcome to Emancipated Studio. Welcome my uncle, Uncle Stu, the old man on the block.
Oh, yeah. Salute, salute. I know y'all see the microphone, but we getting ready to change a whole lot of things up here in this studio tonight, today. You know, I've been under the weather, but we gonna rock out tonight. We're gonna make this last day the best day. So first of all, I just want all of y'all to know how much I truly care and love y'all, because I'm going to tell you, without you, there would be no me. And without me, there would be no you, because we are doing this together. You know, I'm loving CKC Entertainment in the house, JT Cornrains in the house. And I got to give a big shout out. Big Bad Bull, I love you, bruh. You had me feeling some kind of way. I do all the work around here, and who gets the cash app? Not me. Big Bad Bull, in the words of Brown Eyes, she thanks you for her wonderful, awesome birthday present. You couldn't tell her nothing. She was going around here yesterday, you know, all because of your cash app. So I just want you to know, yo, bro, you had me a little jealous, but you know, I still love you, bro. We still manning up in here. But thank you so much for your wonderful, wonderful birthday present. And of course, the one and only Stephen Day. I tell y'all, you know, it's been hot on these YouTube streets. And I ain't talking about the YouTube beefs. I'm talking about everybody talking about this Will and Jada stuff. We ain't going to talk about that tonight because there's so much information. It's crazy. I just also want y'all to know that tonight we have had one of the most awesome months that I can ever think about. We have had some awesome people this month come by the Emancipated Studio. We rocked it off with the one and only I Am Courtney Michelle. We had K.A. show up. We had E. Black show up. We had Chef Shapino showing up. And then we had Edward Anderson came through. And now tonight, this week, we had the one and only Angry Man showing up and showing out this week. And tonight, we're going to finish up this month with one of the sweetest, educated sisters that we're going to grace on these YouTube streets. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, when TLA was trying to lose an extra 10 pounds off of his body, he called this woman. And when Brown Eyes didn't feel like fixing Uncle Stu a sandwich, she had to call this woman. So, ladies and gentlemen, I had to call this woman. And who is she? She is none other than Maggie the Substitute Teacher.
Hi.
How are you?
I am well, Uncle Stu. Thank you so much. How are you?
I am doing well.
Mm-hmm.
I am doing well. You know, I am doing good. I am seeing great things ahead. You know, I always say when you have to take one step back, you got to fight to get that 2 steps forward. Absolutely. You know, so I am just happy at where God got me today.
Amen.
I can project where he's going to bring me tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that each and every day that whether I'm in front of this camera or writing a video, I always say to my people, you're not a number, you're a person. And with that number and looking at the person, I just hope that my people get better one day at a time, one step at a time. I wasn't always who I was, but by the grace of God, I know who I am today.
Absolutely. Amen and amen.
Yes. So now a lot of people who, let's say, follow TLA,
Mm-hmm.
they see this nice little sweet lady that shows up and says, "That's Maggie the substitute teacher." And everybody will look at you and say, "Hey, I wonder if she's a substitute teacher in the high school. I wonder if she's a substitute teacher in the middle school. Hey, she looked like the sweet substitute teacher that will come in my class." But a lot of people don't know, who is Maggie, the substitute teacher? Where does that name come from?
I am so glad that you asked, and thank you so much for asking me to speak tonight. It is absolutely an honor. And Maggie, the substitute teacher, is about teaching the substitutions in food that I have made on my health and wellness journey. And I always say I substitute the foods that I used to love for the foods that love me back. So that's what we talk about on my YouTube channel. But I do come from a family of educators, and I'm big on education. So that's Maggie, the substitute teacher.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. How did you get into having to substitute or get into that area of substituting foods that you like versus foods that's better for you?
Absolutely. So, like a lot of people can probably relate, I have struggled with my weight growing up. I was the, I guess, chubby kid, came from a normal sized family, but I was the one that was on diets, since I can remember. And I had a very unhealthy relationship with food. And I just kind of bought into the lie that, I'm a big girl or I'm big boned because I thought I had to choose between liking what was on my plate and not liking my body, or liking my body and hating what was on my plate. And so the story goes, I just accepted that lie until one day at work, I saw someone who had lost weight. And like we always do, "Oh, what are you doing?" Kind of thinking maybe there's, something I haven't tried. And my friend and coworker said she went to get her gut health checked. And I had never heard that before. So
Mm.
fast forward, I made an appointment with a metabolic specialist. And when I went in there, she took one look at me and she said, "You're really not that big. Your frame is not very big. You just have a lot of inflammation."
Mm.
And I had never heard that before. I thought all of the aches and pains and all of the things that were happening to my body. I used to be pre-diabetic. I used to be have elevated cholesterol, borderline blood pressure. All of that has regulated now without any medication. But I did a test in the metabolic specialist office. So for me, that was a cheek swab on the inside,
Right.
some hair samples, and she sent it off and then called me in a few days with a report of all of the foods that I was sensitive to.
Mm.
Mhm.
I want to go back because you said you had an unhealthy. Would you say that food was your solution for any psychological issues?
I mean, I'm not a doctor, so I can't diagnose, but I know I had an unhealthy relationship with food. It was my happy place, if you will. I think eating should be enjoyable, and I'm so glad that now what I eat does bring me joy. But what I've shared on my channel, and I don't mind sharing here, I have amazing parents, but I remember, growing up, my mom always cooked for the family and the family would eat regular food. And then I would have my plate, which was, boiled chicken or plain broccoli or something that really wasn't appetizing. And so I remember as a kid kind of associating healthy food with food that you don't really want to eat. And so fast forward, through the years, graduate, go to college, put on the freshman 15 and then some. And I just remember thinking, like we all do when we leave home, I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to go where I want. I'm going to eat what I want. And the weight just started to pack on. And I take full responsibility for that. So, as the years went on and you get married and you have children and then you get divorced, life happens. And the weight was just a constant issue for me.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I gotta celebrate you because My number one niece. She done got the Holy Ghost this afternoon. So I got to make sure that her live is on my platform.
Okay.
Went in like she had me speaking in tongues. That's how deep she went in.
Mm-hmm.
Also an engineer.
I do
And
work in tech. Mm-hmm.
yes, and you are also an engineer. How long have you been in engineering, and what kind of engineering are you in?
Okay. So, it's funny, like you said, a lot of people say, oh, I thought she was a real teacher. Um, my actual profession, I am a senior business analyst. So I work in technology. Gratefully, I'm able to work from home, which has allowed me access to the kitchen so that I can actually cook the food that I'm going to eat. I've been a senior BA over 20 years.
Oh,
So I have worked in several different industries, but this role in technology is a great fit for my personality, I believe, because it's kind of in the middle between business people who know what they want but can't really speak that technical language, and technical people who can design anything but they're not the end users of the solution, so they don't really get the user experience. So that's the sweet spot where I sit in between.
wow.
Mhm.
That's deep. So if I was to say it in layman terms,
Mhm.
you're that middle ground between quote the geek, because geeks works in technology,
Mhm.
and us nerds. We're the ones that like to be booky.
Mhm.
You're able to combine the two together
Yes.
and make it one. That is awesome. That is awesome. You talk about your family.
Mhm.
Where your family from?
So I was born in Ghana, which is a beautiful country in West Africa. So I'm actually the daughter of immigrants, and that is a huge part of my upbringing and my perspective on the world. I'm grateful my mom and dad are still with us and they're retired and in the area living life. But I grew up with the understanding that my parents left home and everything that was familiar to them, like a lot of immigrants, to come to America for an opportunity for themselves and for their children. So when we came to the States, I was one. So I've grown up here. So a lot of people think I'm just like any other American. But when you meet my parents, and I've had some videos cooking with Nana, you'll get to see that there's a very different side of me.
So you're Guyanese,
Ghanaian.
Ghanaian.
Hmm.
So you born in Ghana and
I
then you
was
moved here. How old was you?
1.5.
Okay. With that transition,
Hmm.
your parents being from Ghana,
Hmm.
you growing up in America, uh,
Hmm.
how was it for you being an immigrant child here in America? And,
Yeah.
and I know we're going back in time versus how it might be now, but how is that? How is it growing up that way?
It was very different now that I look at it. But what's funny is that, like all of us, you don't know that your upbringing is different until you leave home and you realize, oh, not everybody is raised this way. I'm going to take off my glasses because I'm getting a little fogged up. But I grew up, my parents came to the States for education, like
Okay.
most immigrants did. They met in college and wanted to come to the US for advanced degrees. And I believe the original goal was to go back to Ghana and teach using their, American degrees. But they saw the opportunity here and they saw how my brother and I were doing. And so they decided to go all the way to advanced degrees. So both of my parents, mom and dad, have PhDs. And
Wow.
so I grew up in Athens, Georgia. Both of my parents, well, everybody in my family, mom, dad, and brother graduated from UGA. So go dogs.
I got some HBCUs in the chat now.
I am a proud HBCU grad. I am also a Spelman grad. Absolutely.
Spellman.
Hmm.
Oh, go ahead, brush your shoulders off. You one of them high-ranking black sisters. I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you.
But I still claim the Bulldogs because we didn't have a football team. But I remember, what was ingrained on me, the work ethic that my parents had, and something that they modeled to me. We call it delayed gratification.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are not from, the local area, you have to pay out of state tuition. And being an immigrant, we never qualified for any assistance. And so I watched my parents work. My dad worked at the local Piggly Wiggly, which is a, grocery store, a small Southern grocery store. My mom worked at Ryan's Steakhouse, prepping the vegetables behind the scenes while they were in school. So because it was so expensive, they would go to school alternate semesters or alternate years. So my dad would be in class while my mom would work, and then they would switch. My mom would take class while my dad would work. So while my brother and I were coming up through, primary, middle, and high school, my parents were doing their advanced degrees. So when I graduated from high school, they graduated with their PhDs. And so I watched them sacrifice. We lived in a small apartment. University of Georgia has student family housing, which are apartment complexes for students that are either married or have families. And I grew up in the bubble of academia. My best friends growing up were from Egypt and, Korea and Jamaica. And so I just kind of had this international experience that just kind of made me who I am.
I'm going to dig a little bit deeper and please just speak freely. As an African American living in America, now I have traveled overseas, but I'm going to just put myself straight in America. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest issues that we see, especially amongst people that look like me, born and raised in America, we always had the argument that people holding us down. Don't mean I agree, but I'm just going with the argument. People holding us down. We need reparations. We need all of this stuff in order for us to advance. But you said something in a bubble that was very interesting. You said the people you affiliated with was whether they came from Africa or they came from Jamaica or they came from Trinidad. Mm-hmm. They look like you, but they came from different places in what's now called the diaspora. Mm-hmm. From an outside looking in, what do you think we're missing in America that, I'm gonna say it sensitively, that's holding us back, that's not allowing us to see the opportunities? Because some will say, and I'm going to give their argument, some would say slavery caused us to have all these issues. And because slavery caused us to have all these issues and laws and all this other stuff, we can't move forward. So that would be one side of the argument. Mm-hmm. But I also see a theme amongst Black immigrants. And there's a battle. But from your vantage point, especially growing up at the age of 1, so it's not like you came from Ghana at 15 and came here and did all that stuff. What do you see? What from your vantage point, what do you see? What's going on from the outside looking in?
Wow, yeah, that's a heavy question. I remember my parents always telling me, Maggie, remember, you're an African girl, you're an African girl. And I would think, but I'm just like everybody else. To answer your question, what I think is missing is that, I'll start by saying slavery was very real and the effects of it are still very real. However, I think poverty in the United States compared to poverty in other countries in the world is very different. Our poor, and I'm an American citizen now, but poor people in America, there are poor people in other countries who obviously we see, they risk their life, to come here. Fortunately for me, my parents came on student visas. And so I saw them, go to school the way that I shared with you. But I remember certain memories. My dad was shocked that in regular public school, we got new textbooks every few years. He was shocked. There was nothing wrong with the textbook that we had. Why are they giving you a new one? He started collecting, outdated textbooks and shipping them back home. I remember when I was taking notes in a textbook once, and I was actually writing in the book he was, you don't write in books. The education, the ability to be educated is so precious. What I know growing up here, I have a very small nuclear family, and
Mhm.
my mom and dad have shared with me, and I've since been to Ghana, but growing up as a child, they told me often, I believe my mom is the youngest of, I may get the numbers wrong, but 8 to 10, and my dad is the youngest of, 8 to 10. Back in the day, you had a lot of children to help on the farm. And so their older brothers and sisters, would be my uncles, would be, 10, 12 years older than them. And unfortunately, the older siblings had to help, in the farm. And so only the younger ones were able to be sent to school, because by this time you have the support of the siblings that are helping to send. Another thing that I remember, the fact that school is free here in the States.
Mhm.
I believe in Ghana, my parents told me that it's free up to age 5, which is common in a lot of developing countries. And so after a 5th grade education, if your family doesn't have money, you go to work, the family business, whatever that is. So the fact that my parents were able to go to, middle school or junior high, and then high school, and then junior college where they met, and then come to the States, called me a elite from the outside looking in. They are a great success.
Can you explain to people what poverty means in Ghana versus what poverty means in America? And because I don't think a lot of people really understand, that's never traveled outside of the United States,
Mhm.
what poverty really means.
And I have to give the caveat, we grew up American poor, but I have never experienced, African poverty. And I don't want to dwell on that, because it is a beautiful continent. And I do, like you said, I would encourage people to travel if they're able, so you can see all sides of it. But I know, the stories of only having one meal a day, or, basically, if you don't grow it, you don't eat it. Having to share, with other siblings, having, one pair of shoes, having, tattered clothes that, the way we are with our kids now, they outgrow something or they rip something, we just replace it. So it bred in me an appreciation, one, hard work, not expecting anything to be given to me, delayed gratification, knowing that things will come in time, if you're diligent. And so that's what I've heard, and that's what I've seen, but that's not what I experienced. And I'm so grateful, to my parents. I think about that often, how my life would be so different, if they had not have brought me here. So I try to make the most of it and make them proud.
Well, I think that answer was more than suffice, and we're not going to dwell on that answer. You gave an excellent answer. I think it gives a great clarity to a lot of things. Um, let's take you back to, you once was married, and now you're divorced. Um, and I'm not looking for the gory things, nothing crazy like that. But how was your life as a wife, and
Hmm.
your life now, and kind of how'd you go through that transition?
Oh, wow, we're getting deep here, Uncle Stu, but I don't mind to talk about it.
Okay.
I may get hot again. um, um, I will say this, my ex-husband is a good man and a great dad. But the story goes, I met him young, right out of high school. I was 18. He was the only boyfriend I had in college, and then we married shortly after I graduated. My parents raised me to be a wife, the way I saw my mom, serve my dad, the way I was expected to once I was of age to do things around the house. It wasn't an option for me. plus the straight A's, plus, if you want to have fun, that's the last thing on the list. And I loved being married, and I would absolutely marry again. And what I'll say, I don't regret it because I do have 2 children from marriage, and I'm so proud of us that we co-parent well. A lot of the boys' teachers don't even know that we're divorced because we show up at parent-teacher conferences, at school plays, or whatever. And he's now remarried and moved on. It was hard the first year, what I'll say out of respect, for all parties involved,
Right.
I have to take responsibility 100%, for my part, wanting to be married and, choosing the way that I chose. And, marriage is a lot of work, and I put in the work. And when we realized that, this marriage was not going to last, instead of going at each other, we decided to divorce. And I'm so thankful that it is amicable. And now we focus on the children.
That's awesome. I want to, and you don't have to answer this, but I'm going to ask this question. When you did get married, one of the narratives, let me take it to a narrative. One of the narratives is that colleges has taught such a liberal-minded feminist ideology that it has corrupted that whole aspect of marriage. That's just one of the narratives. Do you feel that touched you in any kind of way?
Okay, now I'm getting hot again.
I don't want to put you in the box. If you don't want to answer it, that's fine. I don't want, I'm not trying to follow a narrative. I'm just trying to ask the question. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think these conversations, have to be had. So I'm no expert, but, I will share my experience. Again, I married at 25. I divorced at 36, and now I'm 46. And so meeting from 18 to divorcing at 36, that's 18 years. So that was half of my, life. So again, just because the marriage ended, I don't necessarily consider it, a failure. Again, the example that I had with my nuclear family, my parents have been married, over 50 years now. Even my ex-husband's parents, were married until my former mother-in-law, God rest her soul, passed. So we come from that example of, working. And I did. Everything from, all of the wife duties and, therapy and everything that you can. But once you realize that it's hurting more than it's helping, decisions have to be made. But I am definitely pro-marriage. To answer your question, like I said, growing up in the little bubble that I had, I really thought everybody was raised this way. I thought all young girls were cooking and cleaning at 11, 12, and 13. I thought everybody had chores and responsibilities, and you grow up and you get married, and that's you just kind of fall into how you were trained. I do remember, going to college, and I went to a great school, and I'm a proud alum. But I think anytime you leave home and you're exposed to people who come from different, backgrounds and life experiences, you would expect that those ideas would be shared. What I'll say, I wouldn't say too much the college experience, but I've been corporate since college, and probably more of that independent mindset I experienced in corporate America more than I did in college. I definitely saw, there's always, movements and, groups and advocating, but you find your place. I was a nerd, I'm a chemistry major. And so it's kind of like I was in the laboratory, so I didn't really get distracted. But then starting to work in corporate America, you definitely see it there.
Wow. I think you gave a different spin on that whole ideal that corporate America really shifted a lot of the ideals, and I would almost say it's like the hot water and the frog. You go into the water, it's cool, and little by little that temperature is being raised up. Would you say being in corporate America, was it a structural independence, or would you say it's a time factor? And when I say time factor, meaning, instead of having your normal 9 to 5, now you're finding yourself working from 9 to 7, 9 to 10, where the so-called, hey, you're no longer working 40 hours a week. Now you're working 50, you're working 60 just to keep the income that you have. Did you find yourself more in that position?
I wouldn't say that. I think it comes from the innate competitiveness that is corporate America. Growing up, in regular public school, we have girls and boys in school, and we are, just like boys, and we can do what they can do. And we are equally important, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But we're very different. And going to a girls' college, I remember being in a classroom with just girls and focusing on what I needed to do. And of course, Morehouse and, everything else is just across the street. So I had that, insular higher education experience. But then when you go to corporate America, my own experience, again, I am no expert here.
Right.
But when the desire to, want to be, a wife and a mother and dedicate to yourself to your children. And I always used to think, and I would actually say, this job is what I do. It is not who I am. I felt like I had to kind of cover up a little bit of my natural tendencies to want to be, I'm happily, domestic. And I mean, if you've seen my channel, I love trying new recipes, but, corporate America has a structure for a reason. And there are great women that are very successful, and they've made the choice to either not marry or not have children. For me, it wears on you, after a while. I know some people, have really struggled in the pandemic, and my heart goes out to them. For me personally, when we were sent home for 2 weeks to wait this thing out, it opened up this life of, I love it here. I had a 2-hour commute, I'm ripping and running, eating whatever because I'm, short on time.
Right.
And I remember a coworker of mine, when I would kind of let my natural personality come out, she said something once. She said, you missed your calling as a first grade teacher because, that's just naturally who I am. But you have to, bring it down and focus. And so I think for me, that's what kind of there are women who are able to do both. And if you can, my hat's off to you. But I think sometimes if we're being honest, that structure makes you choose where you want to put your efforts. And that was my experience.
I just want you to know, you shared almost a similar experience as Suzette Speaks. She was on my platform and she shared a similar experience of that duality. And I don't think that duality is really taught and explained. I will also say Mosaic, TJ Washington, she's also kind of touched on that duality, being in the military and having to fight those two things. It's funny that you talked about Spelman. My daughter had a chance to go to Bennett College. But I remembered something when I took her to Bennett College just to do the tour because, at that time I'm a single dad with this younger child. And she went in, we did the family tour, but when she came out, I'm ready to sign the papers and say, okay, is this where you want to go? No problem. She says, no, Daddy, I don't want to go there because the men that they talk about is not you. And it took me 4.5 years to go back to her and say, can you explain to me what you heard? Now, this is a 17-year-old who wanted to go to HBCU, fought me for 4 years to go. I didn't want to go to A&T. Sorry, Aggie Prize. I didn't want her to go to A&T, but I was willing to let her go to Bennett College. 4.5 years later, she said, every time a woman spoke, it was always the man's fault, the man's fault. There was so much of that she told me Daddy, everything they said about men was not you.
Mm.
So I didn't want to go to there to hear stuff that wasn't my experience.
Yeah, that was not my experience. So I have to be clear on that.
Mm-hmm.
The man bashing, if you will, is not what I heard. What I did hear is a lot of female empowerment, which can be great because we are amazing in our own way. Women have done great things. I think the mistake that we make, and I put myself in that group, is we just assume that, the other stuff will sort itself out, right? Because we focus on the education and the career. I had great training and, interview prep and, great exposure and all of that. But I think the relationship part of it, which, for me is most important and sustains you, is not as much of a focus. And I won't say there's any, intentional malice there. I know some people think otherwise, but I really think sometimes we think, oh, it's just going to happen. But it also takes the same amount of dedication and work.
Yeah, you're getting deep on us there, Mac.
I didn't want to. I wanted to talk about snacks. You got me so.
Don't worry, we're going to shift because I have to, I have to be honest with the people that rocks with me. There's some things they're getting ready to learn.
Yeah.
Maggie, if you had to give us a suggestion, a teaching, a thought, how can we begin to reverse this? Because my younger people are, and I use it boldly, they're dying out here. Luke Casey, I just want you to know she studied your interview to have this interview.
I did.
And when I say that, I like what you said. You said we entered into corporate America. We entered into empowerment. We didn't think, we didn't project what's happening now, what happened. But now I got to talk to the 20-somethings. I got to talk to these 30-somethings. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people our age, it's over. And I don't want to really say over. Let me take that word back. That's a mistake. Don't nobody be growing a clip and say, Uncle Stu said it's over. Sometimes we get to a certain age and we're just fixed in our minds. Mm-hmm. But I got to talk to these young people. And two questions they always ask is, A, the women of today is not like my mother or my grandmother. Because they go back to the 50s. And I'm like, I don't know how in the world y'all went to the 50s because I don't even remember the 50s. But at least my mother, the family you grew up with, is it too late? Or is it that we now have to get panels together of the educated Black women that says, hey, stop. Here's the mistake. Here's what we may need to do. Here's how we may need to reverse the course because like it, love it, or what have you, we got to change. We made a mistake. Unintentional consequences. Just like I would say integration was unintended consequences of what happened.
So if the question is, what advice would I give? And again, I'm no expert, but, I do have my own lived experience and, I'm a boy mom ×2. So I don't have daughters, but I do see myself, often in young women and remember, oh, that used to be me. I guess I would say you have a limited window in order to set your life up in a way that it's going to be, for the rest of your years. I am grateful, even though, I did go to a great liberal arts school and have had great corporate experience, my mom and dad and the way that I was raised and the expectation that they set and the example that they set for me was always, my foundation. And so I know not everybody has that, but I guess I would say, look at who you are either taking advice from or trying to emulate. One, can you relate to them and can they relate to you? I know in our culture we have, so much, focus on celebrity, but that's not the everyday, real world. So
Mhm.
just keep that in mind. I know growing up, we saw, TV shows and we knew that was kind of over there. None of us expected to be, driving fancy cars and, shopping and balling out. That wasn't real. So make sure that what you align yourself with is actually, relatable and real. And I would say, if you didn't have that example, seek it out. People will answer, if you ask. Know that not everybody has all the answers. They had to work it out themselves too. And, if you can't, talk to someone who's arrived, talk to someone who's maybe 5 or 10 years your senior and living how you want to be in the near future. Because I know sometimes when we talk to kids, I'm guilty of this too, when you get to college or when you're older, but that's too far for them to grasp sometimes. So
Mhm.
if you know that you're paying an apartment rent and you really want to be a homeowner, talk to someone who's a homeowner and try to find out, what do I need to be doing now so that in 5, 7 years, I can be there. And I would say the same for relationships. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it sure did. It sure did. Now
Mhm.
we're gonna go to the food part because um, you're one of my key people for what I gotta go through.
Mm,
Um, so I am thanking God every day for the people that have surrounded me. And
mm,
what everybody doesn't know in the chat is you have also stepped up to do that. So let me reveal to everybody in the chat and those listening. I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes this past Thursday, and it was very serious. And I ended up going into the hospital. I'm a vet, but I ended up going into the hospital Sunday. That's why you didn't see a whole lot of stuff hit. And it really brought me all the way down. Um, right now, we're not looking at direct insulin, but my sugar levels is extremely high.
mm.
So, with the assistance of you, um, definitely brown eyes. I think her level of her new ring just went up. Um, and intentional millionaire. Love you, bruh. So now my life has to change, totally
Mhm,
change.
mhm,
So help us with the lifestyle change of things that I now have to do. It's
mm.
no longer a question. It's no longer about choices. Because Uncle Stu got to keep coming to this platform. We got to keep making videos. I keep telling everybody, help me, help you, because it's not about me. It's about them, and I got to live for them. And I know some people say, no, 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 you're strictly living for this person and this. No, no, God got me at a higher purpose.
Absolutely. And we definitely want you around. Oh, goodness. Well, thank you for your service first as a vet. And
Mm.
I know you can turn this around. And I've shared on my channel, just going back to where we started. I had always, struggled with weight, gone up and down, would try a diet, would lose the weight, to get in a dress or whatever it is, and then get right back to, eating however I wanted to eat as my comfort because I had everything else going on. And, like I shared before, that was a very unhealthy relationship with food. But I can relate, I carried around this weight. And in my opinion, I used to think, like I said, I'm just, big boned or I'm just a big girl. I believed, that lie.
Mm.
And I just avoided, really taking it seriously because that was kind of the one thing that I had, right? I had to be disciplined in so many other areas. This was my one little security blanket, very unhealthy. But, like you and a lot of people, when I would go to the doctor for my annual and, that may be the first time that I had gotten on the scale and, months, I would have the talk about the BMI. I would have the talk about, all these things. And I just kept kicking the can, down the road until I got the report that I was pre-diabetic. I had elevated cholesterol, and I had borderline blood pressure. I had also injured my knee. I love to travel, and I injured my knee traveling, and it just wasn't healing. I was taking pain pills. I went from 2 to 4 to 6 to 8, and I said, "This is not, who I am." And so that's what brought me to, the coworker that I saw who said she got her gut health checked. And, to pick up that story, when I went to the metabolic specialist and she did my test and she gave me my test results, I was shocked, Uncle Stu, because I got a list of about a dozen things that I eat all the time.
Right.
Chicken, citrus, coffee, dairy, gluten. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, what the heck am I supposed to eat?
Right.
So, I said, I haven't tried this. I've tried everything else. And there's nothing wrong. Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, all of them work if you continue to eat that way. And the problem is if you don't like those plans or that type of food, as soon as you get the weight off, you're going to run back to what you used to do.
Right.
So I decided to go all in. I cleared out, the fridge. I made a shelf for myself. And that's where the substitutions came in. I started substituting turkey instead of chicken, tea instead of coffee, almond milk instead of dairy milk. And I've told this story on my channel, but within 2 days, 48 hours of, I call it an elimination diet because I eliminated all of those foods that were on my no-no list. In 2 days, you haven't really lost any weight, but I felt amazing. I used to have this horrible knee pain and back pain. And it was kind of that thing when I would go to stand up after sitting for a while, I kind of have to shake it out. I'd have to, stretch it out. I was hobbling along until it just kind of loosened up. And I remember waking up on, the second day, and I'm just going, to the bathroom in the morning, and I didn't, feel any pain. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, my mind is playing tricks on me.
Right.
I tested it out after a month of eating the foods that my body tolerates well, because I just didn't have the information. I was down about 10 pounds, and we had a cruise planned. And I said, I am going on this cruise. I'm going to enjoy myself. And I went and I ate everything, the pancakes, the dessert. I had it all, and woke up on the cruise miserable.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So you've done basically what, and basically for you, the elimination diet is really more of a whole lot of vegetables with high fiber in it. So go ahead.
What I eat is lean protein, some veggies and some veggies and some fruits, mostly the low sugar ones, and then very little starch. And I try to stay as zero sugar as possible.
Okay, now water intake. That's been the biggest. My older daughter was like, "Daddy, I need you to drink like a gallon of water. You gotta." I mean, my daughter is really, my daughters. I don't know who the wife is at times because my daughters will jump in and it's a wrap. I'm the kid then, but my oldest daughter talks about, Daddy, you need to drink a whole lot more water than what you're drinking. Because they definitely didn't like hearing that I had to be at the hospital.
Yeah, we definitely don't want Uncle Stu in the hospital. We need you here. You're doing great work. Water intake is important, for our insides, for our skin, for our hair, for everything. A couple tips, if I may, that have helped me. I am a water drinker, but I will, thank you, but I will add a couple things. So I like the 0 sugar, 0 calorie flavor drops. So sometimes, a little bit of sweet goes a long way. There's so many different sweetener options that don't spike your blood sugar. So we talk about that on my channel. And then also I found out that I was drinking water, and it wasn't staying to hydrate me. It was just kind of going through me. And so I was told to drink more alkaline water. And I found some alkaline drops on Amazon that you can add to regular tap or bottled water. And it makes it alkaline, which just means it stays in to hydrate you instead of just, running through.
Okay. Now, when we talk about switching foods,
Yep.
I know we talk about green leafy vegetables,
Mhm.
the elimination of starches, and then i.e. potatoes,
Mhm.
i.e. I'm trying to remember all the starches. I know potatoes is one,
Mhm.
rice is the other one.
Mhm.
Some suggestions to be able to do that switch.
It was hard, I'm not gonna lie. Getting off of sugar, sugar is highly addictive, and I didn't realize that, and I tell people on my channel, I was kinda cranky and nauseous and just, the first, week to 10 days, it was hard. I'm an African girl, and so I grew up on rice, jollof rice, and all of that, and still when I go to my mom, she's still trying to feed it to me. I'm like, "Mom, I can't have that." As
Right.
much as I love bread, and all of that, it doesn't love me back. What I found out in my test results is that I'm gluten sensitive. So the dough that's in a lot of that stuff that we eat, and even added to some things that don't naturally occur, like ice cream, for me, it was causing a lot of joint pain. That's where the
Mm.
inflammation was coming in. So, a substitute for potatoes, I'm thinking now because I'm in year 3 of this and I'm down, so far, 75 pounds yesterday. I've kept it off with
Oh,
at
let me
least.
get a hand clap on that
Thank you so much. Yes, with, at least 25 more to go, and, I eat to feel good, and the weight kinda comes off as a byproduct. So a substitute for potatoes. Now you're quizzing me. I love butternut squash. If you like sweet potatoes, you can cut up butternut squash and kind of toss it with like some butter and brown sugar, kind of make like a sweet potato fry, but I use brown sugar substitutes. That's good. Cauliflower is a great substitute. I know it sounds weird, but I did a shepherd's pie on St. Patrick's Day, and instead of a layer of mashed potato, we did mashed cauliflower. There's so many different like cauliflower pizza crusts and different things now. I know my palate has completely changed, but people have tried it and said, it's good. So I know Lead makes fun of me with my gluten-free. Is it the same? No. And I'm not going to say that it is.
one. Right.
But when your test results level out and you have, that young energy again, and you're not on pain pills and, you're able to enjoy your life, for me, it's absolutely worth it.
Now, let me make a disclaimer. Brown eyes, you ain't gonna have me in the kitchen for the next 7 days. Now, me and Intentional, we going on strike. Me and Intentional and Perry and like going on strike. Now, we want our sandwich. It's an inside joke.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm gonna do? Would you like to take any questions from the people in the chat?
Absolutely. I see Intentional Millionaire. If you want, I can answer his question. And just you said sandwich. I made a chaffle sandwich with pastrami. So that's like a cheese waffle with egg. That's a great bread substitute. So the test that I had done was through my metabolic specialist office, and she's here in the Atlanta area. The name of it is Locked in Wellness, LOCKEDIN Wellness. She takes clients all over the world. She'll do televisits. You can mail in your samples. But, there are people that have used Everlywell. They have a mail-in test, and I believe that one is a finger stick that you take at home and then you mail it in and you get a report of your food sensitivities. And then I've also heard people can go to their doctor and have a full nutrition panel run. It may be covered under your insurance. I used my HSA to pay for it, but there's a lot of different options because, one of the things that I say on my channel, it's not what you eat from time to time, it's the foods that you eat all of the time. And sometimes we're struggling through processing things. What I've learned, there's some things that you eat, your body processes it well, you're running like a race car. And then there's some things that you eat that just kind of hang around. You have headaches, you may have fatigue, of course, bloating. Some people have really bad eczema. For me, it was joint pain. All of these things that you just think, oh, I'm just getting older or something's wrong. And you don't know that it's the food that you're eating. So for me, having the information is priceless. So when I do go on vacation or I want to go to a new restaurant, I'm going to eat what they have there. I'll enjoy myself, but I know, okay, I'm going to pay for that. And that's what gets me right back on track.
Okay. So what would you say foods to bring energy? Because a lot of people don't know. I almost didn't do this stream because my energy level just now I was very energetic earlier today, and my energy level just plummeted.
Yeah, no, I understand. And thank you for making the time. I'm really happy to be here. Foods for energy. And, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a nutritionist.
For information purposes, let me get one of my moderators to say this is strictly for information purposes only.
Mhm, mhm. Oh, goodness. Foods for energy. I try to one of the things that I've done for pick me up, I've completely changed my snacks. I mean, I've completely changed the way that I eat, but I don't eat any of those simple sugars or simple carbs anymore. So I've gone from, chips and granola bars and full sugar yogurts and all of those things that are, kind of packaged as snacks that we think are just little, pick me ups, even protein bars that are, covered in, chocolate or whatnot. So I eat lean protein. It sounds kind of weird, but it could be a boiled egg. If you eat nuts, it could be a handful of nuts. I have the little small pouches of beef jerky or turkey jerky. I try to always start with protein because what I found when I eat sugar or something that, just kind of doesn't last in my system, you have that spike of energy and then I have to go lay down and I don't want to move like that.
Got you.
Mhm.
I'm looking for another question.
Mhm.
Big Bad Bull, you said something about a particular time frame, and I'm trying to catch it. He says, "Did you see my member chat in at 7:53? Just wanted to make sure it's working."
Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna double check it. Big Bad Bull. Is there any other questions? Or does anybody want to come up?
I saw Vaughn had a question about a plateau.
Yes, see. Hold on, I'm going back up. Okay, this is it right here.
Yeah, this has been my struggle. I'm actually on an egg fast today because of that. One of the things that I share on my channel, I weigh myself every day. A nutritionist told me, because I was one of those people, I didn't weigh until I had to get on the scale and the doctor. I kind of had phobia with the number. Excuse me. So what I do is I weigh every day just to kind of see how it's trending. And I was hoping that, once I got serious, it would just kind of, go down. That wasn't my experience. My weight will hold and then I'll drop a couple pounds and then it'll hold and then I'll drop a couple pounds, which can be really frustrating because we all know when we're eating off plan and, oh, I don't know why I'm losing weight. But when you're really staying on track and the weight isn't moving, again, this is something that I do once a week is an egg fast. I know it sounds weird, but for the day I eat just eggs and apples or just eggs and strawberries. This is something that my metabolic specialist offered to me to kind of kickstart the metabolism and get you losing again. I'll do it, for example, today before I go on vacation, and then when I come back from vacation. So never 2 days consecutively, but I do that from time to time, just to kind of give your body time to process what's been hanging around. So you have the protein and the fiber and some natural sugars, and that seems to get me off of a plateau.
With that being said, do you recommend fasting?
I
For information purposes only. So don't everybody run on a platform and say, "Hey, I did this," and you said information purposes only.
Absolutely. I don't intentionally fast. This is going to sound weird, but sometimes just because, like I said, I work from home and I'm in Zoom meetings back to back, and sometimes I can't get to a meal. I eat 2 meals a day. I've heard really good things about intermittent fasting. That's not necessarily what I do. And again, I support whatever works for anybody. There's so many different programs out there. But so the fast that I'm on right now, which is the eggs and strawberry fast, so it's about 8 or 9 eggs in a day, either broken up over meals, 2 to 3 meals, and either like 8, maybe 4 or 5 apples or like 8 plus strawberries. If you can do it, I've heard great things about it. I do try to get my last meal in about 3 hours before bedtime. And so we're all fasting anyway overnight. So if I finish eating, let's say I go to bed at 9, let's say I have my last meal by 6 p.m. And then the next morning, I actually wake up hungry. And that's something that I learned about myself. A lot of plans, they have like a small breakfast, mid-morning snack, medium-sized lunch, afternoon snack, and then, dinner is usually the largest meal of the day. That doesn't work for me. I wake up hungry. So I've actually switched it. I like to have a big breakfast, a medium-sized lunch, and then sometimes dinner would just be, some tea or maybe, a protein shake. So I end up fasting from, let's say, 6 p.m. to, 10 or 11 a.m., but not intentionally so.
Okay. Salute to you. Salute. He says, Miss Maggie, are smoothies a healthy choice? Any certain mixtures that you would advise?
I love smoothies. And now where I live, the weather is starting to get warmer, obviously. I love smoothies in the summertime. What I avoid, so I am dairy free. So instead of cow's milk, I have to use almond milk, coconut milk. That's what I use. And I don't add sugar. So I try and stay away from sugar. I'll use stevia or monk fruit or some other, sweeteners, even if you like Splenda. I love, you can add a scoop of protein powder if you like. I do, fruits. I'll do yogurt, again, plant-based yogurt. So almond milk yogurt or coconut yogurt, some ice, whatever frozen fruit. Sometimes I'll just make it up as I go. Sometimes people will put, peanut butter powder or peanut butter in there, but I absolutely love smoothies, especially when you're on the go. So sometimes that'll be a meal replacement for me, but not the only meal in the day.
Cool. See what questions we have here. I put one up. Says drink an electric lemonade or tea, fresh squeezed lemon or ice, and ginger and turmeric, honey and cinnamon. This is great for energy.
Oh, look at Val. Yes, that's awesome. Absolutely. There's so many different, we have the information. That's what I love about, this community. I'm also big on apple cider vinegar, to answer the question about, helping to kickstart metabolism off of a plateau. That's great for digestion too. So I'll put apple cider vinegar, which is very bitter by itself, but I will add, some lemon and then a squeeze of, for me, a honey substitute, or you can use the sweetener of your choice. And then I will sip that, like make a tea with hot water, and that helps as well. But I love that recipe.
Great. Let's see. I'm trying to see I hope I didn't miss anything. Let me see. If I miss anything, I want to make sure I get everybody's questions. Can't drink. Says you can't drink water.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder. This is the second person within my lifetime that said they can't stand water.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, and I'm not blaming this person at all. I'm wondering, is that coming from when parents kind of sweeten up the water to their children, and the taste of water is really nasty because they're not used to water. They're sweet, that sweetness in the water.
You're right. I mean, our palates get acclimated to what we, consume. Like I said, having to get off of artificial sugar, was very hard, kind of like a detox. Water, it's going to sound weird to say water is an acquired taste, but I would say start with baby steps. I don't think I drink a gallon of water a day, but I do drink, unsweet tea. I will add, flavor to my water. I add the sugar-free flavors to my water. But start, if you're not drinking anything, try 2 glasses, one when you wake up and one when you go to bed. Just, bookends of the day, baby steps. And then maybe add a midday water, and then just kind of take it like you're taking medicine. But I think to go from not drinking water to carrying around a gallon, I don't think that's realistic.
Right. She came back and said, I can't drink water without apple cider vinegar. So at least getting the water in. So yeah, because salute. Bolo, if I'm not mistaken, Bolo TV just say he had subbed to you.
Thank you so much.
He my other New Yorker,
Mm.
and he's also Haitian, so he understands that whole immigration aspect. But he's my homeboy out of New York. She says, I actually love water. LOL.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
That's great.
All
Yeah.
right.
One of the things with water too, I mean, we have to start where we are, but I've heard, and it's true, sometimes when we think we're hungry, we're actually thirsty. So that could be a good little, I don't want to use the word trick, but before you eat something, just have a glass, I have one here, just have a glass or a half glass of water and just, try to incorporate that and see if you're still, hungry for food.
Excellent. Any other questions? I'm just seeing if there's any other questions or if anybody hits the link. I don't see no questions. Okay. Now I want everybody to know I am not getting ready. I'm getting ready to close this live, but I need everybody to know Uncle Stu is energetic. He's going to make it. Just going to take a little time. I'm not going to stop. All right, Bolo.
Hey.
Hello.
I wouldn't expect him to be up this late. He usually doing his live stream at 6 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Hey, Uncle Stu, how you doing, brother?
I am doing well, sir. Doing well.
Hey, sis, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much.
Well, I wanted to ask. I don't eat meat, right? I do eat fish, so I wanted to know what would you suggest as a replacement for that protein to eat while I'm at work, not while I'm at home.
Oh, goodness gracious, man. Y'all are putting me on the spot here. A replacement for meat. Do you eat eggs?
I do.
Okay. Sometimes when I'm on the go, I would pack like a little, like make my own Lunchable with, I would have deli meat. So you would skip that. Some cubed cheese. If you eat, there's so many different cheeses, maybe quarter or half some eggs, a handful of nuts. I don't know, some of the plant-based yogurts too, almond yogurt, coconut yogurt, or if you eat dairy, you could have the oikos or the Greek yogurts have, more protein in them and they keep you fuller longer. So that might be an option when you're on the go.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I subbed like my uncle said, I subbed to you. Thank you so much. And Uncle Stu, thank you for this broadcast, man. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
I love you both.
The channel is in the chat. If y'all need, he goes back to the old school where you read the whole scripture before you expound on it. So if y'all up at 6 in the morning, go hang out with Bolo and get a good word in. Get your day started.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions? Then hold up, I got one. Wright says, make a bento box lunches for work.
Absolutely.
With a bento box. I'm ignorant in that regard.
No, it's totally fine. I think the origin is Japanese, but they're little lunch boxes that have the little small compartments for your different, ingredients that you're going to assemble. Basically, what Via is saying is she makes, a lunch as part of her meal prep. So, getting in front of when you're actually going to be hungry has been a lifesaver for me. Thankfully, I don't have that long commute anymore, but I remember, and one of the things I would do, my mom taught me, when you're going to cook enough for lunch the next day, and then go ahead and pack it down. That's what I saw her do for my dad. So that's what I do, for my kids and, for anyone else. So if you're going to, plan out your meals for the week, yeah, it does take some time, but when they're stacked and they're ready to go, grab and go. And that keeps you on track instead of waiting till you're so hungry you end up in the vending machine.
All right. Intentional millionaire. I'm going to put on record. We got receipts. And I'm going to explain the inside joke, Maggie. We got receipts now, intentional. Do you have any cookbooks to recommend? Now, the reason we got receipts, Miss Maggie, every time books is recommended for me, I got to buy a new bookshelf. Now she's asking for more books. So,
Oh goodness! Dare I say my cookbook when I make one?
I'm gonna tell you. Hold it. Let's go there. She said right before she dropped that question. Where is it? She did say you need to write a cookbook.
That's where the whole channel started. It's so funny to me when I started on my journey, and I'll answer the question if I can think of, something to recommend. And I'll just tell you a little bit of kind of how we got here. I'm only in month 2 of my YouTube channel, Maggie the Substitute Teacher. So this is brand new for me. So again, I really appreciate, being able to come talk about it on your platform. I've always been cooking. My mom taught me to cook. I didn't have a choice. So I cook for the family. I cook for myself. I cook for anybody.
Right.
And when I started my, journey, my health and wellness journey, I would cook my food and then I would take a picture and I would post it on social media. This is what I'm eating today. How many times have we seen that? But, some of the experience that I have, I'm pretty good at plating and making, a meal look presentable because we all eat with our eyes first. We want to look forward to what we're eating. And so when I would post the finished product, people would ask me, did you make that? And then I would say, yeah, I made that. And so I realized people didn't think it was actually me. So then I went from posting just the finished product to my raw ingredients and then the finished product. So I would have a side by side kind of before and after. And then when I started doing that, people would say, how did you make that? And so I started commenting on my own posts, kind of the steps that I did. And people would always say, you're good at that. You need to get a cookbook. When you get a cookbook, I want an autographed copy. It was always this thing that people would say, oh, you need a cookbook. Because we do need a cookbook. Okay. And I thought, okay, maybe one day when the, kids are up and out, and now they're teenage boys and, spending more time with dad. So I'm kind of a, impromptu empty nester. So I have time now to, instead of just posting the pictures and commenting, then my earliest videos was me narrating the steps of what I made with those pictures. Then it just got to the point where I said, you know what, come in the kitchen with me. I turn on the camera and I actually walk people through, what I'm doing when I'm cooking. Now I'm getting really excited because that's what we do on my channel. So, a lot of my inspiration, what I've shared on my channel, working from home, I keep the cooking shows on TV on during the day on mute because I used to have the news on, but that was too depressing. Now I have the cooking channels on and I would be working and I would be watching these beautiful meals being prepared. And I, like you, I can't have potato. I can't have this. I can't have that. Mm-hmm. And so I would start thinking up ways to enjoy those same recipes with the ingredients that have been, approved for me, hence the substitutions. Right. And I would come up with different things to eat, substituting the ingredients that were on my no-no list. So, for cookbooks, there's, so many. Chef Aaron, I think it's Chef Aaron.
Find your channel and give people an idea of exactly what your channel looks like. Okay. You can continue.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't know. So as far as, to answer the question for cookbooks, I have several, since I don't count calories. I don't count carbs. I do watch sugar. because I need to watch sugar, not so much salt for me. So any low carb, even some keto recipes I get inspiration from. I'm not keto. I mainly eat the foods that are on the list that have been approved for me. So if they happen to be low calorie or low sugar or, keto friendly, then I'll look at those recipes and say that looks good. But I'm big on social media. I'm on all platforms as Maggie the Substitute Teacher, and I subscribe to whether it's, Chef Aaron Morley, of course, all the Food Network, and, Bon Appetit, and, all of the channels. I have apps on my phone, on my Alexa devices. And so that's where I get my inspiration from. But I am going to come up with a cookbook and actually have something that's going to be a collection of what I've been doing, because all of my recipes are food that I would cook for the family, but my version has the substituted ingredients.
I'm going to tell you, it will, and I'll say it right here on this platform. The way I have looked at your platform and exactly what you have done, I am glad that I'm going to be the one who got the first real interview with you, because I do see you actually either big on YouTube with a huge YouTube channel, a huge following, and even more, I do see you rising above YouTube and really having it, because you bring such a elegance, you bring a natural camera view. I've watched you when you sitting there and I'm saying, okay, me and my people need to go down to Georgia, hook you up with about 4 or 5 more cameras, because you're just a natural. You're cooking in your natural kitchen. You got all the spices and the herbs behind you. You're just doing it, and it's like, well, wait a minute. She's doing it with one camera, and just, even when you come off, you're like, okay, wait a minute, I gotta go get this, and then you go back and you show it, and then you cut the camera off. As soon as you show the plate, you go, here's the food. Okay, y'all, I gotta go eat. Click, It's like, wait a minute.
Okay, I can do better. Thank you for that feedback.
I mean, but it's so elegant, it's so natural, and you really bring us back home. And I'm not talking about the big mama home, just that. Hey, we can do that.
We absolutely can. Thank you so much for the compliment. From your lips to God's ears, I'm humbled and appreciative, and you're gonna get me a little emotional, but. Again, like we talked about, that full circle. I grew up, eating family dinner together. My mom cooked, every night, and, all the things that we accumulate and all the accolades that I have, there's nothing to me that's more satisfying than, taking care of the ones that I love, and, feeding the boys, and, like I said, I'll feed anybody, construction workers, out there painting all day, here, I made some extra. I really do love, serving, and it brings me happiness. And I'm so glad that now that I'm able to express, that part of myself, because I am very different at work, because I have to be. So this has been my, my little passion project. And, I'm so honored, because I didn't really think that people would care as much as they did. How sometimes we think, oh yeah, everybody knows that, but everybody doesn't know that. And so I'm grateful to be, a part of the solution if it's helpful.
Well, I'm very honored, and I thank you for going to help me on my journey, to get back right and get healthy, so that everybody can see me years from now. Like I tell anybody, this is very scary, because I've never had to go through it before, but it's all right. It's going to be all right.
It is. And I've heard so many great stories. And let me encourage you that it can definitely, be reversed. It's doable. I'm the woman that thought, I was always going to be, shopping in plus size. Now I'm able to just buy, regular clothes. Now my blood work is, normal. Now I'm not winded going up a flight of stairs. I don't have to ask for an extender when, I fly. So it can definitely be done. I'm still on my journey. That was part of my hesitation. Should I even, promote anything while I'm still struggling? But, the feedback that I've gotten is that people can relate. And, just like being, an alcoholic or someone who's, struggled with any type of substance abuse, I understand and I accept that I'm going to have to keep what I put in my mouth top of mind for the rest of my life, because I know this is a problem area for me. And so my channel holds me accountable. And, I always tell them I eat every day. So I post every day for you all, because it's literally me just going into the kitchen and I'm actually going to eat the food that I'm preparing. And so, I just bring the community along with me.
I think that's beautiful, and I hope that people that's here tonight. I've seen a whole lot of people say they sub to you, so you'll be able to go and see how great your numbers are, and I'm quite sure you'll get that Lucchese effect, because I didn't even know, until she said I was on your channel when I got over 200 and something subs, and I'm like, I'm not even TLA.
None of us are. He's amazing. Such a great support. I've learned so much.
Yes, yes. And so I am so honored that you graced me today and gave me the opportunity to hear from Maggie, the substitute teacher. And we had two people, got Candid Ann. Normally I had the speaker and I got her on my road, but nobody came up. So I said, okay. But I got her as my introduction. Big Bad Bull says, Maggie, substitute teacher, I'm subbed up and I'm locked into your channel, and you are about to change my life, and I'm depending on you. So, again, Maggie, everybody will see my life change, as part of you being on my team. And I am honored that you are part of Emancipated Studio and you're part of Uncle Stu's team.
Thank you so much. It's my absolute pleasure to be here and to share what I've learned, the mistakes that I've made, the challenges that I have. I'm definitely passionate about this space and the community. I've been more behind the scenes, but this is my wheelhouse. I'm very excited to, be a small part of the change, because we can do better. And I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. And, I think people do want to be healthy and feel good, but we also want to enjoy our food. And so I think that's the niche and the sweet spot that I found, a way to eat what you can eat that you also want to eat.
Excellent. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the only reason why I'm shutting this chat down has nothing to do with Uncle Stu. We got Miss Maggie. She got to fly. She got to travel. She got a plane that she got to catch in the morning. And I want to make sure that she gets all the proper rest. Miss Maggie, don't be ashamed if the next time TLA drops a video or does his live, that he's going to call you out on the live, because TLA has a chance of sometimes coming back and watching the people I interview, and he already knew that you was going to interview with me today. So he's not only going to probably shout this out, but he's going to shout out the interview as well. So, we're going to get you to that 1K, because we want to see you succeed.
Oh, thank you so much. Like I said, I know I'm just a beginner, so I really appreciate everyone. Bear with me. We are working on some over the stove equipment, so you all will be able to see what I'm doing, because literally, like Uncle Stu said, I'm holding it up to the camera. It's just me and my iPad. That's all I've got right now. But I definitely appreciate the following, and I'm going to grow as the channel grows. So thank you for the support.
And we are always here to support you. This is the platform where we salute winners. We salute those that is willing to do the work. It's not easy to be a YouTuber. It's not easy to be in front of the camera. It's not easy to expose yourself. And in spite of, what many people may do or think or say, I want to be a champion for the people that wants to win, and use them to show other people you can win too, whether you're doing it on YouTube, whether you're doing it, in your home, whether you're doing it on the job, that no matter where you are in life, you can change, you can switch, you can get better.
Absolutely.
You don't have to stay with hating one side and blaming another side. And, you don't have to do that. People do have lives. They can alter their lives. Everybody has a life. Everybody has a story.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we don't really get to hear, the story of the person beyond the content.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight, we had an opportunity to learn from you.
Mm-hmm.
We learned that we don't have to struggle if we don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
We can choose which side. One of the most powerful statements that you gave tonight is delayed gratification.
Mm-hmm.
Something that we all seem to forget.
Mm-hmm.
We do live in the microwave culture. We do live in the I want it now. We do live in the, I want the house now, the car now, the money now, the job now, the education now. We live in a now. Even when we deal with relationships, we want perfect now, but we're not willing to put in all the pieces to make it work later and shine. You taught us tonight that we might not only have to substitute food in order to be healthy, we also might have to substitute our mindsets
Yeah.
to be healthy. We have to substitute the poverty mindset for the wealthy mindset, and it doesn't always mean money. A wealthy mindset. So many of us is taking in fatty, toxic. We're taking in sugary attitudes. We're overloading our brains with starch of toxicity. That in reality, we may need to do our own mental fast. We're actually doing our food fast.
You're absolutely right. I always say, for me, it's not hard to lose the weight. It's hard to decide to lose the weight.
Amen. Amen. With that being said, Maggie, what would be your last words that you would give to the chat? If you had to give them your last words of just, here's my wisdom to the chat.
My final words would be thank you. I'm so incredibly grateful to be able to share a little bit about myself. I hope that I am relatable. I definitely want to show that it's doable, but I'm just like you. I struggle. I don't know it all, but I'm committed to figuring it out and getting better one day at a time, while enjoying my life and enjoying every meal along the way. So, if there's something that I've said or cooked or shared that's been helpful, it's been my absolute honor, and I'll continue to do so because we definitely need more of that.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you stick around, Maggie. I see you in the back. You and Brown Eyes can now fix my dinner before you get on the plane.
You got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you because you could have been anywhere on these YouTube streams. You could have been on any platform right now just getting the latest gossip. You could have been anywhere just hearing the latest confusion. You could have been anywhere being called out your name or being with someone who's calling someone else out their name. But you chose to be here in the Emancipated Studio to get a positive word, a positive mind, and a positive outlook. And for those that's going to catch us on the replay, leave a comment. For some of y'all, leave a comment and let me know how you like this interview. Let me know what was the great things that you received from it. Shout out to you, Braveheart, coming through with Angry Man's Bingo Nation. Great show, Uncle Stu. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So leave a comment. Let me know how you like it. If there's any questions, subscribe to her. Give her those questions. If you can't reach her, hit me and I'll make sure she gets those questions. One love to everybody. Salute. Peace. Uncle Stu is out.